Let me start by saying this. I was so sure I had found the love of my life. My name's Marissa, and up until recently, I thought my life was lining up perfectly. I had a dream job in interior design, a small but warm group of friends, and after years of bad dates and almost relationships, I met Daniel. Sweet, patient, successful, everything I thought I deserved after being burned too many times before. He wasn't just perfect to me. He was perfect for me. Thoughtful texts, long road trips, the way he always remembered how I take my coffee. It wasn't flashy. It was real. And when he proposed after 2 years together, a quiet sunset picnic by the lake, I didn't even hesitate. I said yes. The planning was a blur of soft ivory tones, eucalyptus leaves, and whispered dreams of forever. But as I should have learned by now, nothing that looks picture perfect ever is. Enter the family. Daniel's mother, Kathleen, was well, intense. The kind of woman who could give a compliment that somehow left you feeling insulted. She smiled. A lot, but her eyes never did. And from day one, she made it crystal clear that I was not her favorite woman in Daniel's life. That title belonged to her daughter from a previous marriage, Emily. Emily was beautiful in a messy, chaotic kind of way. Long tangled hair, always a bit late, always recovering from something. She was Daniel's half-sister, a couple years younger than me, and had the type of energy that filled a room and somehow made it colder at the same time. At first, I gave her the benefit of the doubt. She was family, after all. But she always had this way of making me feel like a guest in my own relationship. The first time I met her, she hugged Daniel and said, "You always date girls who look like background characters." But at least she seems polite. I laughed, uncomfortably, but Daniel just shrugged it off. "She's blunt," he said. "Don't take her too seriously." That line would become a mantra over the next few months. And every time I heard it, my gut twisted tighter. Still, I brushed it off. I had bigger things to focus on, like planning the wedding of my dreams. Or so I thought. I wish I could say the weird vibes were just wedding stress, that I was reading too much into it. But things with Emily, they just kept getting weirder. A few weeks after the engagement, Daniel and I went over to his mom's place for dinner. Kathleen always hosted like it was an audition for some high society role, fancy silverware, candles, and food that tasted like it was cooked more for show than flavor. Emily was already there when we arrived. She was sitting on the couch, barefoot, sipping wine like she owned the place. Her eyes flicked to my hand, to my ring, and she smirked. "Cute," she said, lifting her glass. "Looks just like the one Daniel almost gave to Stephanie." I blinked. "Who's Stephanie?" Her smile widened. "Oh, she was before your time. Gorgeous. A bit unhinged though. But Daniel loved her, didn't you?" Daniel looked very interested in his drink. "That was years ago." Kathleen gave a sharp little laugh. "Let's not dig up the past. We're here to celebrate the future." But the vibe was already ruined. I smiled through the rest of the evening, but inside I was screaming. Who the hell was Stephanie? Why hadn't Daniel ever mentioned her? And why did Emily feel so comfortable bringing her up in front of me? After we left, I finally asked him. "Stephanie was just someone I dated in college," he said, brushing it off. "It didn't end well. I didn't think it was worth bringing up." Maybe it wasn't, but the way Emily said her name, it felt loaded. The following weeks were filled with microaggressions. Passive-aggressive texts from Emily like, "Can't believe you're letting Daniel do a fall wedding. He hates fall. Your dress fitting is the same day I need help moving. I guess I'll just figure it out alone. If you're gonna do your hair up, you might want to contour your jawline more." I tried to take the high road. I really did. Daniel said she was just going through a phase. His mom told me Emily had some trauma from a bad breakup. They asked me to be patient. So I was. Until the night I caught them whispering in the kitchen when they thought I was asleep. I'd gone to bed early at Daniel's place while his mom and sister stayed over after a late dinner. But I couldn't Sleep. Something felt off. So I got up to grab some water. And that's when I heard them. Emily, you're really gonna go through with this. She's boring. Daniel whispering. Stop, Emily. You don't love her. You're just tired. You're settling, Daniel. It's not like that. She's good to me, Emily. So was I, but that didn't stop you from choosing her. Wait, what? I froze. My brain couldn't even compute what I just heard. I backed away, quietly as I could, went back to bed, and stared at the ceiling all night. What did she mean? What did Daniel do? I wanted to ask. I wanted to scream. But something in me said, wait, watch, collect everything. So that's what I did. Because if there's one thing I've learned, people will always show you who they really are. You just have to stay quiet long enough to see it. 2 weeks later, I got the invitation. Emily was throwing herself a baby shower. Let me be clear. This was the first I'd heard she was pregnant. No announcement, no casual, by the way. Just a glossy invitation with gold trim that said, celebrating. Emily and Baby D was supposed to mean Daniel. No, there's no way, right? My brain started racing. I scrolled through her Instagram. No pregnancy posts, no bump pics, just mirror selfies and aesthetic brunch. Was she even showing? I showed the invite to Daniel. He stared at it like I'd handed him a bomb with a lit fuse. I didn't know she was pregnant. He said quietly, you didn't know your own sister was pregnant. She doesn't tell me everything. We're not that close, except, weren't they? That whisper in the kitchen haunted me. So was I, but that didn't stop you from choosing her. The baby shower was being hosted at Kathleen's house, of course. And despite every bone in my body screaming don't go, I showed up. I wore white. Not to be petty, okay? Maybe a little. But because Emily had specifically said in the invite wear blush or nude tones. When I walked in, the room fell silent for a second. Emily's eyes went cold. Kathleen looked me up and down and gave me one of those tight-lipped smiles that screamed, bless your heart. There were balloons, cake pops, pastel decorations, and not a single trace of a father's name. Every mention was just Emily and Baby. She floated around the room like a damn goddess, touching her barely there bump, soaking up the attention. People kept asking, who's the dad? And she'd just laugh. When it was time for gifts, she unwrapped mine last. I had given her a neutral onesie set and a baby memory book. She held it up, smiled sweetly, and said loud enough for everyone to hear. Ah, how thoughtful. But hopefully Baby D's real mommy will have better taste. Everyone laughed awkwardly. My ears burned. I left early. And then that night, I got a message from a private Instagram account. No name, just a picture, blurry, grainy, looked like a hotel hallway. In the middle, Emily, and next to her, Daniel. They were holding hands. The caption just said, still think you're marrying the right brother? My blood ran cold because the person who sent it was Stephanie. Yeah, that Stephanie. I didn't sleep that night. I just stared at that photo. Daniel holding hands with Emily in what looked like a hotel hallway. Was it old? Was it staged? Why would Stephanie send it to me? And why the hell was Stephanie involved? Daniel walked into the kitchen the next morning, rubbing his eyes like nothing happened. I slid my phone across the table. He stared, blinked, looked at me. That's not what it looks like, of course. Okay, then tell me what it is, Daniel. Because if this is your sister, and that's your hand, then it was from months ago, before we even got serious. My heart sank. Wait, you dated her? He didn't answer. He just looked down. That silence, it was louder than a scream. You dated your own brother's ex? She wasn't his ex yet. It was complicated. We weren't together, and neither were they. You lied to me. I didn't lie. I just didn't tell you, because it didn't mean anything, right? That's why Stephanie is sending me warning shots and Emily is calling herself Baby D's mommy like this is some kind of soap opera. I told him I needed space, that I was going to my sister's for a few days. When I got home to pack, I found an envelope taped to our apartment door. Inside was a copy of our lease, and Emily's name was on it. Not as a tenant, as an emergency contact. The first one listed, before mine, there, in black and white. Emily St. Clair Emergency Contact Cell, redacted relationship, family. I stood there in the hallway, shaking. How deep did this go? Then my phone buzzed again. Another anonymous message. She was always part of his plan. You were the cover story attached. A different photo, this time of Daniel at the OBGYN clinic, sitting in the waiting room reading a pregnancy pamphlet. Date stamped last Tuesday. The same day he said he was working late. I still don't know why I went. Maybe I wanted answers. Maybe I needed witnesses, or maybe I just wanted to see the look on his face when it all crumbled. Daniel's sister Lacey was throwing us an engagement party. Or, well, throwing him one. I was just the accessory. I hadn't told him I was coming. I dressed in black, wore paint, basically. And I didn't come alone. My best friend Liv was at my side, armed with screenshots and a don't mess with her attitude. The party was extravagant. Champagne towers, candlelight, fake smiles. Daniel's mom hugged me like she hadn't emotionally disappeared the second Emily reappeared. I'm so glad you could come, she whispered. It means a lot to Daniel, does it? I wanted to say. Because it sure didn't mean enough for him to not knock up his ex while living with me. We walked into the backyard garden where the party was in full swing, fairy lights, a future Mr. and Mrs. sign. And right under it, Daniel, looking like a man who still thought he had everything under control. He kissed my cheek like nothing was wrong, like I wasn't one text away from burning this entire night to the ground. And then she walked in, Emily, wearing white. Belly bump peeking under her designer coat. Gasps, whispers, she didn't hide. She walked right up to the family table and sat next to Daniel's mother. No one stopped her. In fact, they seemed ready. Like they expected her. Like this was part of the damn script. I took the mic. Oh, thank you all for coming, I said, fake smile tight across my face. I just wanted to say a few words. Daniel's eyes widened. Babe, maybe we should. I raised a hand. No, let me finish. I pulled out my phone. Airdropped the photo, Daniel at the OBGYN, to every device in the room. Gasps again. I spoke slowly. This is Daniel. Last week, at an appointment with Emily, who, in case you missed it, is currently pregnant with his child. A child conceived while he was living with me, planning a wedding with me. Silence. A fork clattered to the floor, and then chaos. His mom fainted. Lacey screamed. Daniel tried to grab the mic, but I held it tighter. You all want to pretend like this fairy tale is real, I said. Fine, but let me rewrite the ending. I looked right at Emily. Good luck raising a baby with a man who lies this well. And I walked out. No tears, not then, just fire. 2 months had passed since I blew up the engagement party. 2 months of silence from Daniel. 2 months of petty Instagram stories from Emily, her belly, her ring, her miracle baby. 2 months of his family acting like I was the villain in their tragedy. And then, there it was, the baby shower. It wasn't a private event. It was a damn production. A massive tented garden event with a string quartet, champagne for the guests, not the mom, pastel balloons spelling out baby girl Callahan, and yes, a sponsored cake by a local bakery. Classy. They didn't invite me. Of course, they didn't. But they made one mistake. They held it at the restaurant, my restaurant. They still thought I was just the girl who Daniel cheated on. They forgot I was the one who owned the place, so I showed up, not screaming. Not throwing wine. I wore a white suit, hair done, makeup perfect. And I didn't say a word when I walked through the main entrance. I simply smiled at the event planner, who nearly dropped her clipboard. "Ma'am, I carry on," I said, just making sure my venue's being respected. Heads turned. Whispers rippled. Daniel saw me. He froze mid-toast. I walked up to the dessert table, took one of the custom cookies, "It's a girl," and bit into it. "Delicious," I said to no one in particular. Emily tried to act unbothered. "Oh, look who's here," she chirped. "Didn't think you'd be brave enough." I tilted my head. "Brave? No, professional. This is my property, after all." She blinked. "What, you didn't know?" I smiled. "Daniel forgot to mention that he threw your little celebration on land I own." "Well, that's on brand for him." Her face turned red. Guests were watching, so I took it one step further. "I'm glad you're enjoying the place, though. You'll be getting the invoice for the full rental fee on Monday, including damages in case you go into labor early." A beat. Silence. Then Daniel tried to walk up to me. "Marissa, can we talk?" I looked at him like he was a stranger. "You lost the right to talk to me the moment you lied to my face." He tried again. "I didn't want to hurt you, but you did," I said. "And now you're the father of a baby whose shower I just crashed in a suit more expensive than your car." And with that, I left, not running, not crying, just reclaiming what was mine. A week after the baby shower disaster, I got a text from an old mutual friend. "Oh my God, you won't believe this. Emily's naming the baby." "Marissa." At first, I laughed, out loud. Like doubled over, stomach kicking. Laughter, then it hit me. She wasn't honoring me. She was mocking me. Rewriting the narrative, painting herself as the real Marissa, the perfect wife, the glowing mother. The replacement. So I made a decision. It was time to burn the last piece of her little fantasy world. Their gender reveal video, the one they were planning to post on Instagram, YouTube, TikTok, was being filmed at a local botanical garden that weekend. Big pink and blue smoke cannons, sparkling outfits, a drone crew, and guess who was catering? One of my restaurant's side businesses. So technically, I wasn't crashing anything. I was supervising the food, and I had a plan. The minute the videographer signaled they were ready to start, I walked into frame. Dead center, wearing a t-shirt that said, "It's not yours, sweetheart, QKS." Daniel shouted, "Marissa." "What the hell?" Emily gasped and shrieked, "Turn off the camera." Turn IT off, but it was too late. I stood there, calm as ever, and said loud and clear into the lens, "Hi, Internet. I'm the woman Daniel was engaged to when he got Emily pregnant. You know, the original Marissa. The one he lied to. The one they both ghosted. The one this child is apparently being named after because stealing my fiancé wasn't enough." Silence. Gasped the camera guy. He didn't stop recording. He was getting paid, and this was pure gold. I took a step closer, smiled at the stunned guests, and added, "But hey, congrats on the baby. I hear petty is hereditary." And then I walked away. The next morning, the video, or at least the leaked clip, had over 600,000 views. People were eating it up. Comments ranged from, "Queen energy, she handled that with more class than I ever could. They deserved it. Plot twist. Baby's name is Karma." Daniel's PR attempts to clarify the timeline made it worse. Emily's Instagram went private. Their sponsored deals, most of them pulled out. And me, I slept like a baby. The real Marissa. 2 weeks of silence passed after the gender reveal fiasco. I hoped they'd finally leave me alone. But then, an envelope, no return address. Inside was a photo. A newborn wrapped in a soft pink blanket. And a handwritten note. She came early. Her name is Marissa Hope. I know you hate me, but I wanted you to see her. Maybe one day you'll understand. My hands trembled. Not from sadness, from rage. She really did it. She named the child after me, after destroying my life, my relationship, my sense of security. She thought a picture of a baby would fix it. Or what guilted me into silence? I stared at that tiny face. And for a moment, I did feel something, not for the baby, she was innocent, but for me, for the girl who was betrayed, humiliated, erased. So I wrote back, not a letter, not a call. I mailed her a printout, an actual printed copy of the email Daniel sent me for months after we broke up. The one where he begged to see me again, where he called Emily a mistake, where he said he missed us and hoped I'd wait it out. At the bottom, I wrote, maybe one day, you'll understand. Love, the original. I never got a response, but I didn't need one. Because a week later, Emily's mom showed up at my restaurant, alone, quiet. She waited until I finished my shift and pulled me aside. She said, I didn't know. I thought she was just in love. But now I see everything. Then she pressed a $100 bill into my hand and whispered, for your next coffee and your next win. I watched her leave, slowly, head down. And I realized the truth always finds a way through. Even when people bury it under lies and babies. It had been over a month since I sent that email printout. No messages, no drama, just quiet. I was starting to breathe again until I got a text from a new number, but I knew the tone instantly. Hey ... I know everything's a mess, but I still love you. I want my daughter to know you. You're strong and kind. Would you consider being her godmother? I had to reread it 3 times. Godmother, was this a joke? Emily wasn't reaching out to apologize or take responsibility or make things right. She was asking me to bless the life she built from the ashes of mine, to put my hand on their child and promise to guide her while pretending none of this ever happened. I took a deep breath and walked into the kitchen of the restaurant. I found an old receipt and scribbled my reply. You want me to be her godmother? Fine, I'll start by telling her who her parents really are. I took a photo of it and sent it. I didn't block her this time. I let her sit with it. 5 minutes later, she replied, you're cruel. I was just trying to make peace. I didn't even answer. Because the truth is, peace isn't made through guilt trips and baby names. It's made through honesty, through change. And clearly, Emily hadn't changed at all. She was still the same manipulative, entitled girl who thought the world owed her forgiveness just because she wanted it. But I was no longer the girl who handed it out for free. Not anymore. The lunch rush had just ended. I was wiping down the bar, half listening to the quiet hum of the dishwasher in the back, when I saw her, Emily, standing at the entrance like a ghost from another life. No baby, no fiancé, just her, drenched from the rain, mascara streaking down her face like ink on a ruined letter. She walked in like she didn't know whether to run or fall to her knees. I didn't move, didn't blink. She sat at the bar, across from me, like a stranger who had no idea how badly she'd burned. The bridge. I didn't know where else to go, she said softly. I stayed silent, let her fill the silence for once. I messed up, I miss you, I didn't know how to fix it, but I couldn't keep pretending I'm okay. I'm not. Still, I said nothing. She finally looked up at me with watery eyes. I didn't mean for any of this to happen. It just did. And then it got out of control. That was it. That was the sentence that lit the fire in my chest. I leaned forward, slowly, like I was done playing the quiet role. You didn't mean for it to happen, I said, calm but cutting. You didn't mean to text him behind my back, to lie to my face for months, to bring my boyfriend into your bed and then show up pregnant like it was some cosmic accident? She opened her mouth, but I didn't give her the chance. Don't act like this just happened. You made every choice, every single one. And you did it knowing exactly what it would cost, but you didn't care because you thought, I'd forgive you, that I'd always forgive you. Because I always did. Her lip trembled. She was shaking. You didn't just steal my boyfriend. You stole my trust. You stole my home, my peace, my sanity, and for what? Because you were jealous because I had something you wanted. Tears were falling down her face, and I didn't feel even a flicker of guilt. Because this wasn't cruelty. This was honesty, finally. You want to cry now. You think I haven't cried? I cried for months, Emily. While you played house, I was piecing myself back together. Alone, she tried to reach across the bar, but I stepped back. You don't get to be the victim here, I finished. You made your choice, now live with it. The silence that followed was deafening. She didn't say another word. She just stood, shaky and pale, and walked out the door, this time for good. And I stood there, heart pounding, finally empty of everything I never said. It came in. A cream envelope, gold embossed letters, a soft floral scent. Classy, pretentious, fake. Emily and Jonah invite you to celebrate their union at the Briarstone Garden Estate. Formal attire, no children, no drama. I laughed out loud at the last line. No drama, please. They wanted to pretend they were starting some fairy tale chapter, just erasing the blood spilled on the previous pages. At first, I tossed it in the trash, but it stayed there, like a snake coiled under the lid of my kitchen bin, hissing do something. And I did. No, I didn't crash the wedding in a red dress screaming I object. I chose something better, more surgical. I waited. Watched their wedding website, their social media, her posts full of fake bliss and filtered lies. She called herself blessed. She hashtagged soulmates. She paraded her baby bump like it was the product of divine love and not betrayal. And then 2 days before the wedding, I sent my own kind of RSVP, a little package wrapped in soft silver paper with their initials printed in cursive. Inside, a simple envelope, one photo, one receipt. One page printed from the private investigator I'd hired 6 months ago, when my gut told me Jonah had been cheating on her now, too. Turns out, karma doesn't wait until after the honeymoon. The photo showed Jonah leaving a downtown hotel. Not with Emily. The receipt was from his secret second apartment. The report was short and clear. He was already living a double life again. I signed the card from the woman you both thought was weak. Congratulations. I don't know exactly what happened after that, but I do know the wedding was postponed indefinitely and the posts stopped. Just like that. No more hashtags. No more glowing bride-to-be reels. No more soulmate captions. The only thing left online was silence. And you know what? It sounded like peace. It took a year. 12 months of rebuilding, from nothing. No savings, no support, no fake smiles, just grit, a dream, and a recipe book passed down from my grandmother. I didn't want to run his restaurant anymore. I wanted my own. Somewhere that didn't carry ghosts in the walls. Somewhere that wasn't built on lies, betrayal, and secrets whispered between white tablecloths. So I started small, a food truck. Actually, just me, a tiny kitchen on wheels, and a handwritten chalkboard menu. I called it second course because that's what it was, my second chance. People showed up, first out of curiosity, then loyalty, then love. They came back for the handmade pasta, sure, but they stayed for the way I remembered names, the way I played old soul music in the background, the way I made even a Tuesday lunch feel like something special. 6 months later, I signed a lease on a small brick and glass space on the edge of town. Nothing fancy, but it was mine. Now, second course is a full restaurant. My name is on the window. My staff are like family, no backstabbing, no drama, just real people who show up and give a damn. Every time I lock the front door at night and turn off the lights, I breathe in a kind of peace I didn't know existed before. Jonah never came back. Emily disappeared from social media. Their baby, I don't know. I hope she grows up with more love than lies. As for me, I'm not bitter anymore. I'm busy, I'm proud, I'm finally me. Sometimes customers recognize me. They say, "Weren't you the one who ran that fancy place downtown?" And I just smile and say, "No, that was someone else. I just run this place now." Because that girl, the one who let herself be disrespected, discarded, and diminished, she closed for business, and in her place stands a woman who serves her own story hot, fresh, and absolutely unforgettable.
Subscribe to the channel and like this video.